What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gooner channel, a channel 100% dedicated to the Arsenal, who, as we all know, are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen. And, well, today's video, it's just a short one. I do feel like there are some absolute double standards at play, and we Arsenal fans all know this. And one of the areas I think you can prove it is in, well, let me start at the beginning. At the end of the summer transfer window, Mikel Arteta signed a player in David Raya that he's been chasing for a long time, who his goalkeeping coach has worked with before and has obviously sung his praises. David Raya was a player that everybody said was fantastic last season. Man United wanted him. Tottenham put in a huge bid for him and he rejected it and instead came to Arsenal because he believes in the project. And as soon as we signed David Raya, everybody said it was a terrible mistake. You can't have two number one keepers. Is he dropping Ramsdale? Why is he dropping Ramsdale? Ramsdale did really well last season. There is that clip that did the rounds recently of Aaron Ramsdale talking about how he loses concentration in games. But everybody who had said that Ramsdale was a waste of money just a short time later was saying it was totally unfair. But when Arteta did his press conference on the signing of David Raya, instead of coming out and saying, look, I really rate Raya, my goalkeeping coach does, the backroom staff clearly do, Edu obviously does. As a team, we think he could really bring something. He's definitely an upgrade on Turner, who we let go. Instead of coming out and saying he's going to see which of the two players in Ramsdale and Raya is best and stick with them, he kind of made a rod for his own back by coming out and slightly arrogantly saying that he was going to transform the way people thought about goalkeepers. But in that press conference, he also said that he had to have two great players in every position, which is the accepted wisdom. Because if something happens to your first choice goalkeeper at a critical time of the season, you don't want to be relying on, no offence, but Turner. That was ignored, and instead everybody said you can't have two good first choice keepers because it unsettles both of them. And ever since he did finally put Raya in and drop Ramsdale, all you've heard is that Ramsdale wasn't bad enough to get dropped. Raya's come in and flapped a little bit. But actually, his numbers have looked really good. And the reason I think this exposes double standards is because of the state of other teams right now. Now, Nicholas Pope dislocated his shoulder in the game against Manchester United, and it looks like he could be out for 4 months. He's had a dislocated shoulder before, and he's requiring surgery. And so there's been a lot of speculation that Newcastle are in for De Gea, and even possibly trying to get Ramsdale from us. Now, Arteta said in his press conference he doesn't want Ramsdale to go. The Ramsdale's up for the fight. In fact, when Raya first came in, there was a lot of bravado from Aaron Ramsdale saying, bring it on. I'm ready for the competition. I think he still is. I think he's got a few years on Raya and he can still make a case for being the first choice. It's a competition. Elite level sports is about competition. But if you look at what's happened to Newcastle, with Pope out now for what could be 4 months and them scrambling to get De Gea or Ramsdale. But also if you look at Alisson, the arguably best goalkeeper this season so far, Alisson, injured, out for 3 games, possibly more, and in comes Kelleher. Now I'm not trying to diss Kelleher. I just think that at a critical point in the season, do you want a player like Kelleher to be playing 3 or 4 games? I mean, look at the game they played against Fulham at home. If it hadn't been for an almost miraculous turnaround in the last few minutes, Liverpool could easily have dropped points in that game. And you have to say, two of those goals really did come down to the goalkeeper in some level. So you have City with Ederson not quite on form and Ortega not quite good enough to step in. You have Pope at Newcastle out for 4 months and them scrambling, even though they do have 5 keepers. One of them is Karius, played in the League Cup final last season, conceded 2 goals, played really well. It's unfortunate. He's had a very unlucky career, let's be honest. Alisson injured and Liverpool relying on an untested player. Meanwhile, at Arsenal, should anything happen to Raya, and I hope it doesn't, I hope we stay injury-free as possible, at least you've got Ramsdale to come in. So was Arteta right? Arteta's sole point was, I want 2 great players in every position. We are building this season on incredibly strong defensive foundations. And the goalkeeper is obviously one of the most important positions. This is why it's weird when people say, the goalkeeper is one of the most important positions, but you don't want 2 good ones. You want to put all your eggs in one basket and just keep your fingers crossed. It is weird, isn't it, when people say that goalkeeper is one of the most important positions and you don't want to have 2 good ones. I think I think no one's going to say it. No one's going to come out and say that Arteta got it right. But I think we have to be grateful that we have at least covered off the eventuality that one of our goalkeepers gets injured. And so for my money, Mikel Arteta going out and strengthening us in the goalkeeping area, just like in any other position, was a really solid thing to do. And I'm personally really grateful for it. It does seem ridiculous now, though. When David Raya plays and has a bit of a flap, it's because he signed him. When Ramsdale came in and didn't really set the world alight in replacing David Raya for the game against Brentford and, the West Ham game, which was pretty poor, then, of course, that's Arteta's fault. Seems like everything that goes wrong at Arsenal is Arteta's fault, and I've seen Arteta get tons of criticism. Just a quick note to remind everybody, going into tonight's game against Luton, we are top of the table. We have the best defensive record in the league, and as I've already mentioned, the teams around us have to deal with the fact that they are not either they're playing goalkeepers who aren't quite in form, or they're playing very much second choice goalkeepers, and that could equate to points dropped. Could be as many as 6 points dropped in a spell where you play the wrong keeper for 4 games. So for me, I just want to say a massive well done to Mikel Arteta. Personally speaking, I think David Raya, whilst he hasn't been miles ahead of Ramsdale, he does seem to have been better. And this is not about how far ahead you are. If you can upgrade a player in any position, you do that. And, well, whilst a lot of clubs are going to be scrambling around it, and I haven't even mentioned Onana at Man United. De Gea, who might be going to Newcastle and is apparently open to the idea, 17 clean sheets he kept last season. He got dropped for Onana for 60 million quid on the strength of some good Champions League performances, it seems. And let's be honest, he might be one of the dud signings of the season so far. So Man United, Newcastle, Manchester City and Liverpool, all with goalkeeping issues that Arsenal don't have. Is it time, therefore, to say a bit of maybe you were right, Mikel Arteta? Not that I think anyone will, but I'm saying it. You definitely did the right thing. Thank you. Let me know in the comments if I've lost my mind. I'm looking forward to the match tonight against Luton. I am worried because I worry about every game. But let me know in the comments if you disagree with anything I've said. And I look forward to speaking to you all after the Luton match, hopefully to celebrate what will have been perhaps a boring victory, but a victory nonetheless. Till I speak to you then, be lucky, lots of love.